Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining today. So tomorrow is actually the appearance day of Lord Nrsingadev, Nrsingadev. So today we wanted to just refresh our memories of this incredible personality, incredible supreme personality of Godhead who appeared for a very special reason. And we wanted to just do our little effort to glorify and seek his protection so that we can continue our seva for Radha and Krishna. So we'd like to seek the blessings of Radha and Krishna and Krishna Balaram, Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled Vaishnavas so that we can try to understand this little bit better, this wonderful personality. Okay, so this is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 7th canto, 8th chapter, and 18th verse. In the 7th canto, the pastime of Lord Nrsingadev is described in some detail. So, sa sattvam evam parito vishapasyam Stambasya madhyadanun nirjinahanam nayamaro vichitram aho himaitan nirnagendrarupam. Translation. While Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either man or lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature? That is half man, half lion. So this is his actual, this verse in the Bhagavatam describes Lord Nrsingadev's coming out of the pillar. Quite incredible. So, yeah. So we're going to look at, this is a summary of Bhagavatam chapter 2 of the 7th canto. So we're going to start with some of the pastimes before Nrsingadev appears, so we can lay the groundwork. Why does he appear in this terrible form, half man, half lion, ferocious form of the Lord? When the Lord appeared as the boar, Varaha, and killed Hiranyakashipu's brother, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu was very much aggrieved. So if we go back a little bit more, the two gatekeepers of Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu, in Vaikuntha, were cursed by the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras are young children, or they look like children, but they're actually great sages. They're older than most people in the universe because they're sons of Brahma, one of the first sons of Brahma. And they came to Vaikuntha, but Jay and Vijay, the gatekeepers, didn't let them in because they looked like small children. What business do you have here? We want to see Vishnu. Oh, but do you have an appointment? Anyway, they stopped them. So the four Kumaras became angry and they cursed them that you are not fit to be associates of Lord Vishnu. And at that time, Lord Vishnu came, and the curse included going to the material world. Jay and Vijay became very scared. So then, actually at that time, Lord Vishnu appeared, and he apologized for the behavior of Jay and Vijay. And he gave them also a choice that you can either come to this material world as 7 times as my devotee, or 3 times as my enemy. Which would you like? So Jay and Vijay thought that it's better to come as enemies, only 3 lives away from the Lord, rather than having 7 lives as devotees away from the Lord. So then the first of the to come down was Hiranyaksh, who was the elder brother to Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyaksh displaced the earth from its orbit, placed it on the Garbhodak ocean. And at that time, Lord Varaha appeared, and there was a tremendous battle between Lord Varaha and Hiranyaksh. And of course, Hiranyaksh was killed by Lord Varaha. So that pastime took place. And as a result of that, Hiranyakashipu became very aggrieved. And he, in anger, accused the Lord of being partial to his devotees. And he began to agitate all of the Rakshasas. Staring up into the sky with blazing eyes, he clenched his fists. "Fellow demons," he cried, "I will defeat the demigods and conquer the entire universe. I will destroy Vishnu by slicing his head from his body." He disturbed the ritualistic ceremonies of the peaceful sages. For want of performance of yajna sacrifice, the demigods began wandering unseen on earth. So even the demigods were petrified of Hiranyakashipu. He was so strong. But Hiranyakashipu also understood philosophy. After the funeral ceremonies, Hiranyakashipu began speaking to his relatives from the scriptures about the eternity of the soul and the actions of karma. So he saw his relatives were very disturbed. His mother especially was crying. "My son has died." But then Hiranyakashipu pacified Diti and Rushabhanu, who is the wife of Hiranyaksha, his sister-in-law, and he engaged their minds in spiritual understanding. He was saying to them that this soul lives forever. Why are you lamenting? He's still alive. He's just in a different place and due to karma. So in that way, he pacified them. Now, Hiranyakashipu had a desire to become immortal. And in order to fulfill that desire, he practiced severe austerities for a very long time in Mount Mandara mountain. Now, when we say a very long time, we're talking about thousands of years, many tens of thousands of years. And what he did, he stood on tiptoe on this mountain. He raised his arms above his head. He fixed his gaze on the top of the sky. And at the same time, he did not eat, drink, or sleep. He remained fixed in that position for a very long time. And it was such a long time that even the ants had built a nest around him. They built an anthill over him. And they had, in time, they had actually devoured his flesh. There was nothing left of his body apart from bones. And the soul was just hovering around the bones. But what was happening was from his hands, a kind of fire began, or from his head, blazing from his head. And that fire was so intense, it actually disturbed the whole universe. It suffocated the whole universe. So this is austerity. This is regarded to be austerity in the mode of ignorance, where one does this tapasya. Tapasya is good to do because tapasya means we want to sacrifice our bodily comfort in order to please a higher authority. But when that tapasya is meant to be to hurt others, and to hurt yourself, and to hurt the super soul within you as well, then that's regarded to be austerity in the mode of ignorance. So this is a type of austerity that we want to completely avoid. Anyway, the demigods, they approached Lord Brahma and explained that this is happening and you should go and pacify Hiranyakashipu. So Lord Brahma who is the creator of this world, the secondary creator, he became alarmed and he went riding on his swan before he appeared before the demon. Brahma then sprinkled some water from his kamandalu and upon the head of the demon, and immediately the body of Hiranyakashipu was rejuvenated. So this is the power that Lord Brahma has. He immediately, Lord Hiranyakashipu's body, which had been eaten away by the ants, covered by anthill, he gave a little bit of water from his water pot, and his body became back to normal, stronger than it was before. And Lord Brahma said, "Oh, king of the Asuras, I'm astonished at your determination. Please tell me, what is it you want so badly?" And there goes this comment is that he sprinkled holy water on the skeleton, which immediately changed it into a body of a muscular young man. Bowing down respectfully to Lord Brahma, Hiranyakashipu, he said, "My desire is to become immortal. I wish to live forever. I don't want to die. Vishnu killed my brother. Now I want to stay alive forever." Lord Brahma explained, actually, I can't help you because even I'm not immortal. I live for a long time. I live for trillions of years, something like 311 trillion, 40 billion years. But even then, I have to die as well. So how can I give you something I don't myself have? Right? So this is in chapter 3 of the Bhagavatam, 7th canto. So then Hiranyakashipu, of course, he was disappointed. After all these years of hardship, he was not going to give up, however, his life's ambition. So then he thought to himself, why don't I ask for a whole load of benedictions? Lord Brahma can agree to give me those benedictions, and then I will be effectively immortal. So he used his intelligence to ask for such boons as, I don't want to be killed in any place, whether it's covered or uncovered. I don't want to be killed in the day or in the night. Pretty impressive request for a demon. I don't want to be killed by any weapon, nor do I want to be killed on land or in the air. I think he even said on the water. I don't want to be killed by any human being, any animal, any demigod, or any other living entity. I think he also requested, he didn't want to be killed in any of the months of the year. So in that way, he was thinking, that's it. And Lord Brahma kept agreeing to his requests. He also further prayed for supremacy over the entire universe, requested the 8 yogic perfections known as anima and lagima. These are the ones where you can become lighter than the lightest, bigger than the biggest, stronger than the strongest, things like that. Ah, there you go. So this is his austerity. He was standing on his toes, hands up, head up, and not eating, not sleeping, not standing for thousands of years. How can you do that? Well, in Satyayug, they had that potential. They could do crazy things if they wanted to. And then you can see here, his body had been eaten by the ants. The anthill had covered him. But yet the fire was emanating from his head. And it was disturbing the whole universe. This is the thing, when somebody does such austerities, it can cause a disbalance in the universe. There is Lord Brahma approaching him. And this is we can talk about that in a little while. Hiranyakashipu laughed. So those requests were given, those granted by Lord Brahma. So he thought, now I'm immortal. So he, believing himself to be immortal, he traveled throughout the universe, defeated the rulers of every planet until he conquered Indra, the king of heaven. So he conquered everyone, and he sat himself, he positioned himself in the king of heaven's area, king in the heavenly planets. So the demigods were homeless again. All the demigods but Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva came under his control and began serving him. Living in Indra's palace, Hiranyakashipu enjoyed a life of great luxury. He was very proud of his wealth, his huge army, his beautiful wife. However, despite all his material power and wealth, he was dissatisfied because he was always puffed up. So this is where we have to be very careful, because we can have the similar sort of attitude that we have enough, but it's not enough. I want more material items, material adoration. I want more material affection, etc., etc. And all of that is very temporary, and it can lead us to difficult situations. Anyway, eventually the demigods and the sages, they prayed to the Lord for relief from Hiranyakashipu's rule. They would approach Lord Vishnu in Shwetadweep, the ocean of milk, and he would he's known as Shirodakshaya Vishnu. He's living in this universe itself, but he's like an embassy of this spiritual world in this world. And the demigods are very fortunate to be able to go and visit him in that place. Of course, they may not be able to see him. Brahma can, because he's very pure. And they would recite the prayer of Purusha Shukta to please the Lord. And then they would request him, please protect us. Eventually, the demigods and sages prayed to the Lord for relief from Hiranyakashipu's rule. And Lord Vishnu informed them that everyone would be saved from the fearful conditions. And Hiranyakashipu's final exploit would be to torment his own son, Prahlada, an exalted Vaishnava. Then his life will end. When the demigods were reassured by the Lord, they were satisfied. So then in this canto, it's described, 4th chapter, Narad Muni describes the characteristics of Prahlada Maharaj and how his father envied his own son. So that is the subject matter of chapter number 5 of canto 7. So what happened whilst Hiranyakashipu was doing this incredible tapasya? The demigods actually went to the residence of Hiranyakashipu, and they captured the wife of Hiranyakashipu, wanting to kill her, knowing that she was pregnant with a boy who would become also a demon. So they wanted to kill both, the son and the wife, mother as well. And at that time, Narad Muni came and stopped them, said, no, you release her. Within her womb is a great devotee. So he took her to his ashram and he preached to her. And whilst she was listening, or maybe she was not listening, but definitely Prahlada in the womb was listening to Narad Muni talking about devotional service and the position of Lord Vishnu. So from that talk, he became a natural devotee of the Lord. So when he was 5, his father began to notice there was something strange about the boy. He wasn't like a typical materialist. He was neither proud or greedy. Indeed, he was very calm and kind-hearted. Hiranyakashipu was concerned. Taking his son onto his lap, he said to the boy, "You are very intelligent, but tell me, what is the most important thing you have learned at school?" So Hiranyakashipu's spiritual master was Sukracharya. He's the spiritual master of the demons. He had two sons named Sananda and Sanda and Amark, to whom Prahlada Maharaj was entrusted for education into the demoniac way of life. Now, Prahlada did not carry out the orders of his teacher because he was always engaged in worshipping Vishnu. Of course, the teachers didn't necessarily know that because Prahlada would keep it hidden. So, anyway, Hiranyakashipu requested his son, "What is the best thing that you've learned from your studies, from your teachers?" And Prahlada replied, "Studying about politics and the art of war is a waste of time." Of course, these teachers were teaching him demoniac knowledge about politics and warfare. And he would listen, but he would not take anything in. Those who are really intelligent have no enemies because they understand that they are servants of Lord Vishnu, who lives in everyone's hearts. One should give up household life and go to live in the forest of Vrindavan to worship the Supreme Lord. You can just imagine Hiranyakashipu's reaction. When he heard from his son about devotional service, he decided this small boy had been polluted. He advised the teachers to take better care of the boy and teach him properly. He became actually very, very angry towards the teacher. "What are you teaching the boy?" And they would say, "No, we've taught him properly. We've taught him about, politics and economics and mathematics and so many different subjects. And we thought he was listening nicely and learning, but obviously he wasn't. Somebody's polluted him." Anyway, again, Hiranyakashipu asked his son. He invited him again to the palace, sat him on his lap, and he inquired from his son, "What's the best thing that you have learned?" Okay, now, so then Prahlada Maharaj, he replied that the 9 processes of bhakti, such as Shravanam and Kirtanam, hearing about the Lord, so hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything onto him. In other words, serving him with body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. This is one of the wonderful verses which we recite, Shavanam Kirtam Vishnu Smaranam. So Prahlada Maharaj actually is the source of that verse. And when Hiranyakashipu heard that, he became extremely angry and he started having a go at the teachers, Sanda and Amarka, who were the sons of Shukracharya. And they claimed to be, they said, "We've tried our very best to teach this boy about demoniac culture, but he doesn't want to listen. We cannot seem to get through to him. Somehow he has Vishnu in his heart, mind, and thoughts. So what can we do?" Enraged, Hiranyakashipu asked his assistants to kill him. This is really extraordinary. One father would request the death of his own son. And they tried many different ways. They tried attacking him viciously with spears, swords, tridents, but they failed to penetrate his tender skin. It was like nothing was affecting Prahlad. And Prahlad, he was such an amazing devotee of the Lord. He wouldn't even request protection from the Lord. He didn't even think that they were attacking him. He thought they were just playing with him. And he was simply meditating on the Supreme Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And the Lord was protecting him. The Lord was always protecting, even when not requested. So they were unsuccessful due to the Lord. Hiranyakashipu ordered them to hurl the child from the top of a cliff. But protected by the Lord, Prahlad floated like a feather to the ground. And actually, is also that Vishnu would be standing at the bottom of the cliff to catch the boy. But he was thinking, I'm just on a roller coaster ride. My father's just playing with me. They threw him before a charging elephant, which came to a sudden halt just short of the boy. They cast him into a pit of seething snakes that refused to bite him. In fact, I understand that the snakes were converted, turned into ropes. Nothing happened to Prahlad. They tried everything to kill Prahlad, poisoning him, starving him, freezing him, burning him, frying him in oil. None of these had even the slightest effect on the boy, who remained smiling as he prayed to the Lord. Oh yes, so whilst he was in school, he would engage his fellow classmates in Sankirtan, in devotional service. Because they would ask him, how did you know all this? Where did you get this knowledge? And he would explain, I got it from my spiritual master, Narad Muni. And then he would explain about Vishnu and Krishna. In that way, he would also engage his classmates, and they would be enjoying, and the teachers would be concerned, horrified. What's going on in our school? What are these? Oh, everybody chanting the name of Vishnu. So, chapter 6, the sons of Hiranyakashipu's spiritual master again began teaching Prahlad in their own way. Prahlad did not accept their instructions. While the teachers were absent from the classroom, Prahlad began to preach Krishna consciousness in the school. And by his instructions, all the class friends, the sons of the demons, became devotees. Prahlad instructed his class friends, who are all sons of demons, that everyone must be interested in spiritual life from the very beginning of life. This was one of his key instructions. Start bhakti from as early as you can. One should not be very much interested in material enjoyment. Instead, one should be satisfied with whatever material profits are easily obtainable. And because the duration of one's life is very short, one should utilize every moment for spiritual advancement. One may wrongly think that in the beginning of our lives, let us enjoy material facilities, and in old age, we may become Krishna conscious. So this is often the argument that's given. When we're young, we should enjoy ourselves, and then no problem. When we get old, we'll then pray to the Lord. Of course, it doesn't quite work that way, because we never think we're old. We always think we're young. So that moment doesn't actually come until it's too late. And life is, in the meantime, moving so fast. We're spending our days and nights working and trying to enjoy. And as we know it, right, the years just fly by before we know it. Yamraj is right before us, or the Yamadutas may be right before us. Anyway, his classmates were convinced. They became devotees. Prahlad's class friends had listened to Prahlad. they inquired, how had he become so learned and devotional? So this is chapter 2 we did, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 we've also covered. Now the 7th, what he learned in the womb. So this is the incident when Narad Muni protects the wife of Hiranyakashipu, who is got Prahlada in her womb, from the devatas who are ready to plunder her. When Hiranyakashipu left his kingdom, went to the mountain, his wife, Kayadu, was pregnant, and the demigods arrested her. Their plan was that as soon as the child took birth, they would kill him. Oh, okay, so that was the plan. However, Narad Muni stopped them from taking her away and took her to his ashram until Hiranyakashipu returned. Narad Muni gave her instructions on spiritual knowledge. Taking advantage of those instructions, Prahlada, although a small baby within the womb, listened very carefully. The spirit soul is always apart from the material body. This is what we can understand from this pastime. There is no change in the spiritual form of the living entity. Any person above the bodily concept of life is pure and can receive transcendental knowledge. Prahlada Maharaj accepted Narad as his guru. This transcendental knowledge is devotional service. And Prahlada Maharaj, while living in the womb of his mother, received instructions in devotional service. So let's stop there and we can continue from this point tomorrow. Surinder, anything you'd like to share, please?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat again to everybody. Yes. So Prahlada Maharaj, he is our great grand spiritual master. And we can list down some main points, instructions from Prahlada Maharaj. And Prahlada Maharaj, he says that those people who pray for some material gain, dhanam dehi, jasu dehi, putra dehi, etc., while worshipping Krishna, is not proper pure devotional service. This is like doing a trade with the Lord, business.
Yeah.
Yes. So give me this, give me like Om Jai Jagadish Swahare, like that. Give me a cottage near the seaside. Give me a nice car, etc., etc. So this is not pure devotional service. Anyhow, but our spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, he said, our transaction is with Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and Radha Krishna. Therefore, if ever we have to ask, we ask Radha Krishna, no problem. And if ever we have to give to Radha Krishna, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, like that. That is to some extent acceptable. But ideally, we should not expect or worship for some material gain and benefit. This we learn from Prahlada Maharaj. And also, as it was explained, like Prahlada Maharaj, he describes the 9 processes of devotional service: Sarvanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Mandanam, Pada Sevanam, Dasyam, Pujana, Sakhijana, Atmani Vedana. Like that, the 9 processes of devotional service emphasized. So, then in Bhakti Rasamritam Sindhu, so ideally there is 64 devotional activities described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Even applying tilak in 12 places of our body with mantras, name of Lord Krishna, is considered as devotional practice. So we can put some water tilak. If we don't have a proper clay tilak, we can use water tilak and apply in the 12 different places with the different names of Krishna. This is also devotional practice. It is very good. Sometimes because we work, we cannot have a clay tilak on the forehead, but we can put water tilak, and even if we go to work, no problem. Like that. So, and then among the 64 devotional practices, Rupa Goswami has summarized the 5 main devotional practices. Prahlada Maharaj, he described 9 main devotional service. If we cannot practice into all the 9 devotional practices, then it summarizes to 5 main devotional practices. It comes down to like Shravanam Kirtanam, like we hearing and chanting, and then reading scriptures, and then like Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha means we do Kirtan Bhajan and discuss Krishna Katha and do Vaishnava Seva. This is Sadhu Sangha. And then deity worship, worshipping the deities. And in worshipping deities, 2 main activities included in deity worship is cooking for the deity and dressing the deities. And there are many other devotional activities associated with deity worship, but these 2, cooking for the deity and dressing the deities, main. And then 5th one is living in Mathura Vrindavan, means we may physically go to Mathura Vrindavan in India. Secondly is that Edina Grihe Bhajana Dekhi Grihete Goloka Bhaya. In one of the bhajan, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains like that. When we see Krishna consciousness being practiced in our home, we see that our home has become Goloka Vrindavan, like that. And then 3rd way is to invite Goloka Vrindavan, in the Vrindavan bhav in our heart. I always try to eliminate lust, anger, greed, madness, delusion, envy from our heart, purify our heart, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, and then practice Krishna consciousness, hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna Katha, etc. And then we invite Vrindavan in our heart. Like that, 5 main devotional service. And then in one of the bhajan, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he summarizes again 3 main devotional activities. He says, Nama Ruchi, so we should have at least a taste for chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and other mantras, worshipable mantras like Brahma Samhita mantras, Prem Dham Deva Stotram mantras, etc. Nama Ruchi Jivedaya means we distribute Krishna consciousness to others. And the 3rd one is Vaishnava Seva. So these 3 activities, chanting holy name, distribute Krishna consciousness, and Vaishnava Seva, like that. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much. Dandavat, Nitai Gaura Haribol.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for sharing that. Very good. Anybody, any more comments or questions? And we'll carry on tomorrow anyway. Nrsingadev, everyone, ki jai.